For more than a century, dealerships have dominated car sales as the vital link between manufacturers and buyers, providing a place where customers could see, test, and negotiate the price of their next vehicle. However, that model is now on the verge of going extinct because Ford has made a move so daring that it is upending the entire industry. For example, Ford is abandoning traditional dealerships and switching to a direct-to-consumer sales model. Now, the question is whether other automakers will follow suit, whether prices will fall or soar. What is the true reason for this drastic move? And more importantly, how will it affect you? The announcement is more than just a change in business strategy. It's a fundamental change in how cars are sold, and it's happening quickly. Fast dealerships, which have been the backbone of the Ford sales network for generations, are suddenly finding themselves sidelined. This move could result in thousands of dealership closures, job losses, and a complete restructuring of the industry and consumers. Some people believe that this is a long overdue change that will make buying a lot easier. Dealership owners are furious, calling this decision a betrayal, and legal experts predict a fierce battle as state franchise laws, which were initially created to protect dealerships, could come into play. While some are concerned about losing the personal service and immediate availability that dealerships provide, consumers are left wondering if this move is truly in their best interest or if it is just another way for Ford to maximize profits. While providing them with fewer choices, however, this decision goes far beyond simply making car purchases easier. Many people believe that Ford is simply copying Tesla, but that is only half the story. The truth is that consumer behavior has drastically changed, with people now used to purchasing everything online, including electronics and groceries, and car shopping is no exception. According to studies, the majority of consumers already conduct a thorough internet search before visiting a dealership. Ford is merely taking advantage of this trend by simplifying the procedure to eliminate the conflict that dealerships produce, which is another important consideration. Cash, the CEO of Ford, has publicly acknowledged that the conventional dealership model raises the price of each car by thousands of dollars. Two-thirds of those expenses are related to dealership inventory management and advertising. Ford thinks it can significantly reduce expenses and boost profits by selling directly to customers. But there is an even more compelling reason why it is taking this action: managing all sales directly. Ford will have access to a wealth of customer data, including what customers want, how they set up their vehicles, what features they value most, and even how they shop online. In a world where data is the new oil, this shift gives Ford a huge competitive advantage by enabling it to customize the purchasing experience, optimize production, and develop highly targeted marketing strategies. But how does this actually affect car buying? You can now browse, customize, and buy a Ford vehicle entirely online rather than going to a dealership. There won't be any more high-pressure sales tactics or dealer markups. And once you place an order, Ford will manufacture the vehicle to your exact specifications and have it delivered straight to you. This model removes one of the most annoying aspects of car shopping: haggling over prices. Instead of spending hours in a dealership trying to get a good deal, you pay what you see. However, there's a catch. With this model, buyers will no longer be able to walk into a dealership and drive off with a new car that same day. Instead, they'll have to wait for their vehicles to be built and delivered, a process that could take weeks or even months. Additionally, test drives will become less accessible because traditional dealerships often played a key role in allowing customers to experience vehicles before making a decision. Not everyone is happy about this change, though, as many dealerships in particular are fiercely defending their businesses under the current system, and Ford's move could force thousands of them out of business. Dealership groups are already urging state governments to thwart Ford's transition, claiming that closing dealerships would harm local economies, result in job losses, and limit options for customer service. State franchise laws were first implemented to shield dealerships from manufacturers exercising excessive control. It remains to be seen whether this move is a costly gamble or a revolution in auto sales. But Ford is betting that the future is digital and is willing to take the risk. What do you think? Is this the future of car buying, or is Ford making a mistake? Let us know your thoughts. Lawsuits are anticipated, and some states may even pass new regulations to force Ford to continue working with dealerships. The financial issue facing Ford: what if I told you that the traditional dealership model actually costs thousands more than it should for every car you purchase? Ford is now frantically trying to get out of a system that has decades worth of hidden costs. On the surface, this arrangement seems ideal. Automakers like Ford have relied on independent dealerships to handle vehicle sales, while dealerships handle customer service, financing, and inventory, while Ford concentrates on designing and building cars. However, there is a dark side to this arrangement, and it all comes down to money. Operating a dealership is costly, with real estate costs, advertising budgets, showroom maintenance, and employee salaries. Chief Executive Officer Jim Farley of Ford claims that all of these expenses are passed on to the customer. Maintaining the dealership model raises the price of every Ford vehicle by $2,000, and two-thirds of that amount is spent on advertising and maintaining the dealership rather than actually selling the car. Imagine paying rent just for cars to sit on lots and sunbathe. The main question is whether Ford will truly pass those savings on to the customer, or if this is just another tactic to increase their bottom line. Ford is aware that this system is inefficient and wants to eliminate the middleman completely with direct sales. By controlling pricing and avoiding the dealer markups that irritate so many customers, Tesla has already demonstrated that eliminating dealerships can result in cheaper cars without depending on outside sellers. Ford has the opportunity to do the same by providing fair, open pricing that avoids unpleasant surprises during negotiations. However, history has shown us that businesses don't always act in the best interests of their customers. Ford could either keep the extra $2,000 per car as pure profit or reinvest it in their research into expanding their electric vehicle line. Ford has undoubtedly recognized the financial potential of the dealership-free world and is prepared to take the leap, but closing dealerships is about more than just money. It's about even more significant data. Gold your browsing history may determine the next Ford model, which may seem like a stretch, but in a world where data is the most valuable asset, it is not far from the truth. When you purchase a car from a dealership, Ford is unable to see the whole picture because they're unaware of how long you researched, what features you compared, or which models you nearly chose but ultimately decided against. This information is kept confidential by the dealership, making it more difficult for Ford to predict customer behavior. However, by switching to a direct-to-consumer model, Ford can gather that data directly, which completely changes everything. In the automotive industry, data is the new gold. Every time you browse a particular car model on an automaker's website or even postpone your purchase, you're contributing insightful information. Instead of depending on out-of-date dealership reports, Ford will use this data to adjust production based on real-time trends and create cars that are more in line with what customers actually want. This goes even farther with the growth of artificial intelligence-driven sales. Ford is now able to forecast your likelihood of purchasing a particular model, your preferred financing options, and even when you'll be ready to upgrade. Imagine visiting Ford's website and finding a deal so specific that it almost seems like they are reading your thoughts. This is not a coincidence. Rather, it is a calculated strategy. Like airlines and e-commerce platforms, there's another layer to this personalized pricing. Ford may begin dynamically modifying vehicle prices according to demand, location, and even your browsing. Although that may seem like a reasonable strategy, it also creates the possibility of price manipulation, whereby various buyers see various prices for the same car. Ford now offers data-driven experiences in addition to cars, whether or not this is advantageous to the customer. It's unclear how much money Ford will make. However, Ford is making this change for an even more significant reason, and it has to do with electric cars. Ford's electric vehicle gamble. Can this shift to direct sales help Ford's electric vehicle business, which is losing money? Although electric cars are the way of the future, Ford finds them to be a financial nightmare. One of Ford's main issues is that their dealership network has been slow to adopt electric vehicles, and some are even reluctant to sell them. This is because electric cars require far less maintenance than gasoline-powered vehicles, meaning dealers make less money on servicing them for dealerships. The company's electric division has been losing billions of dollars, and every single electric car they sell costs them tens of thousands more than they are making. Something needs to change quickly. A future where electric vehicles predominate means declining profits, which many dealers do not want to face by closing their stores. Ford can assume complete control over the marketing, sales, and delivery of electric vehicles. There won't be any more resistance from dubious dealers, needless markups, or sluggish adoption rates. Like Tesla, Ford will manage everything internally, but will it be successful? Tesla's brand, technology, and devoted customer base have all contributed to the success of their direct-to-consumer business strategy. This strategy is bold but risky, which leads us to the most important question of all. Can Ford actually pull this off? Ford is entering uncharted territory and must persuade customers that purchasing a vehicle directly from the company is a better experience than the dealership model they have known for decades. This might be Ford's greatest invention or its demise. Ford is taking a bold step by closing dealerships. However, there are many obstacles in the way. The largest obstacle: logistics. Dealerships manage test drives, financing, and vehicle storage in addition to selling automobiles. To guarantee that customers can easily receive their vehicles, Ford will need to develop a completely new system. If they do not, they run the risk of annoying customers with lengthy delivery times. A lack of practical experience prior to purchase, as well as unclear financing procedures, are followed by supply chain problems. Customers have spent their entire lives purchasing cars through dealerships. Therefore, Ford must persuade them that an online direct purchase model is not only superior but also safer. The global auto industry is still recovering from supply shortages and production delays. So if Ford wants to make this work, they need a strong system to ensure vehicles are built and delivered efficiently. If they struggle with logistics, the entire plan could backfire spectacularly. They have never tested or physically inspected it. If Ford does it correctly, it will revolutionize the way automobiles are purchased and sold. If not, they risk offending their customers and causing a logistical catastrophe. Now that Ford is removing dealerships from the equation, there is an urgent question of who will service these vehicles. Dealerships were never just about selling cars. They played a crucial role in vehicle maintenance, repairs, and customer support. Ford is taking a huge gamble, but the rewards could be just as big. The only question now is whether consumers will embrace this change or fight back against the biggest automotive shift in decades. Since these places were eliminated, car owners have relied on dealership service centers for decades to handle everything from simple oil changes to intricate engine repairs. Customers may find themselves in the middle as Ford ventures into uncharted territory. The company has promised an alternative to traditional dealership service centers, moving toward third-party repair partnerships and mobile service units. In the future, the company sees technicians performing maintenance directly at the customer's residence or place of business. This model has substantial risks, even though it might provide previously unheard of convenience. Will consumers feel more at ease depending on an unfamiliar third-party repair network rather than a Ford-certified service center? Another significant worry is warranty repairs. Can Ford train enough qualified mobile technicians to replace the thousands of dealership mechanics currently in place? Due to their direct connections to the manufacturer, dealerships have historically handled warranty claims effectively. Without this network, customers may have to deal with longer wait times and more logistical challenges. Independent repair shops might not have instant access to Ford diagnostic tools or proprietary parts, which could cause service delays. Trust is also a factor. Many drivers build enduring relationships with their local dealership mechanics because they know their cars are in good hands. Removing this element could also affect the resale value of Ford vehicles. One of the main benefits of dealership servicing is the guarantee that vehicles have been maintained in accordance with manufacturer standards. Without that consistency, potential buyers might be reluctant to buy a used Ford out of concern that maintenance records may be less dependable, which could ultimately hurt both Ford and its devoted customers. Ultimately, Ford is betting that convenience will outweigh the discomfort of losing traditional dealership services. But whether to accept this change or insist on the reinstatement of certified service centers depends on how rivals respond to Ford's action. Although Ford is at the forefront, other significant automakers are also closely observing this shift. Is it the start of an industry-wide revolution, or is it merely a risky experiment that other companies will steer clear of? For years, Toyota has been experimenting with digital-first retail models, but they haven't fully committed. According to some industry insiders, Ford is trying, and Toyota is holding off on making a comparable move until after Ford's strategy is complete. Dedication: if Ford's direct-to-consumer strategy works for Toyota, might swiftly follow suit. However, Toyota and others will probably strengthen their traditional dealership networks if the move backfires. Although they have streamlined their sales channels and added online purchasing options, General Motors seems to be adopting a more cautious stance and is still collaborating closely with their dealership network rather than giving it up. General Motors executives have indicated that although they see benefits in reducing dealership reliance, they are not yet prepared to fully switch to direct sales. Instead, they may launch hybrid models that allow customers to place online orders while still receiving dealership support for service and test drives. European automakers are also taking notice, especially those in the luxury market. Since many luxury buyers still prefer the in-person experience, brands like Mercedes-Benz and BMW have been experimenting with direct-to-consumer strategies, but with varying degrees of success. However, electric vehicle companies like Tesla and Rivian have already demonstrated that a dealer-free model can be successful under the right conditions. Chinese automakers offer additional wildcard businesses, like NIO and BID, that have effectively established direct-to-consumer sales models with online shopping and manufacturer-controlled repair facilities. If Ford's approach works in the U.S. market, it may hasten a change that would allow Chinese automakers to enter with comparable models, escalating competition. As the market changes, some automakers will adjust, while others will oppose. The rest of the automotive industry is closely monitoring Ford's move because the outcome of this audacious choice could influence how cars are sold for many generations to come. Who wins and who loses? Ford is upending entire local economies in addition to changing the way automobiles are sold. By taking dealerships out of the equation, Ford is starting a chain reaction that might have long-term effects. The dealership network has long been a significant employer in the nation, employing thousands of salespeople, service technicians, administrative personnel, and finance professionals. In many communities, smaller towns, local economies may be the most negatively impacted. Car dealerships are some of the biggest employers, providing support to not only their employees, but also nearby companies that depend on dealership operations, such as restaurants, advertising agencies, cleaning services, and part suppliers. Without revenue, these companies might find it difficult to survive, and the impact on employment for salespeople might be staggering. Due to Ford's mobile service strategy, service technicians and dealership managers may lose their jobs and be forced to change careers or compete for fewer positions at independent repair shops. Although it is unlikely to replace the sheer number of jobs being lost, Ford's direct-to-consumer strategy may lower long-term costs for customers by eliminating dealership overhead. And as Ford streamlines production and distribution, prices may become more competitive. Lower financing rates and a more transparent pricing structure may be available to consumers. But those whose livelihoods depend on the traditional dealership system for small business communities and thousands of employees will pay a heavy price for these possible savings. This change is more than just a hassle. It's a drastic one that might affect their financial security for years to come. Will Ford even be able to handle this legal battle? Not only is Ford's decision to avoid dealerships a business decision, but it also directly challenges long-standing legislation intended to prevent automakers from shutting out franchise dealerships. Ford will need to negotiate a legal minefield to make this transition work, because many states have laws that prohibit manufacturers from selling directly to consumers. Some states have already indicated opposition to laws that were initially implemented to ensure fair competition, currently act as obstacles to Ford's new sales strategy. Dealership lobbyists are getting ready for a battle, claiming that Ford's move threatens local businesses and thousands of jobs. Lawsuits and regulatory challenges are almost certain as dealership associations fight back. According to some experts, if the court sides with Ford, it could set a precedent that permits all automakers to move away from dealerships. If states push back and enforce existing franchise protections, Ford may be forced to change its strategy, possibly reintroducing dealerships in some capacity. The outcome of this battle will shape not only Ford's future, but also the legal framework of the automotive industry as a whole. The stakes are extremely high, and this legal battle is just getting started. For more than a century, automakers have primarily sold cars through dealerships. However, Ford's decision to switch to direct-to-consumer sales is upending the entire industry, and the real question is whether other companies will follow suit. History demonstrates that when one company makes a significant change, the others must either adapt or fall behind. The entire auto industry is watching as General Motors has alluded to experimenting with direct sales, particularly for electric vehicles. Tesla has already demonstrated that direct sales are effective, and now Ford is placing its future on it, placing every other automaker in a difficult position. If Ford succeeds, competitors will have no choice but to follow. If it fails, they will use that failure as proof that dealerships should stay. Even Japanese automakers known for their cautious approach are reconsidering their dealership strategies, as European automakers like Volvo have already declared their intention to switch to an entirely online business model. However, not everyone is on board. Conventional dealerships have supported local economies, and strong dealership associations will oppose this change because direct sales harm jobs, eliminate local service options, and restrict consumer choice, and they are not mistaken. Legal disputes will determine how far this shift can extend beyond the automotive industry, because many U.S. states have laws protecting dealerships, making it challenging for manufacturers to completely shut them out. Encourage modifications in other areas. Digital transactions are already becoming more prevalent in the real estate market, and given that retail brands have been going online for years, could Ford's move be the last straw that compels legacy industries to completely adopt direct-to-consumer business models? What if you never bought a car again? Imagine paying a monthly fee to access any vehicle you want, upgrading when needed, and never worrying about ownership, resale, or maintenance. That's the reality some automakers are contemplating, and Ford's direct-to-consumer shift could bring it closer than ever. One thing is certain, though, the way people buy cars will never be the same again. Although subscription-based auto ownership is not a novel concept, businesses like Volvo have found it difficult to succeed. With automakers controlling sales, they could reconsider the pricing and logistics of this model. For instance, Ford could combine insurance maintenance and vehicle use into a single monthly payment, similar to what streaming services do for entertainment. Porsche and BMW have also experimented with monthly car access plans that allow customers to swap vehicles or cancel at any time. The issue was that the costs were too high and the demand was not strong enough. No loans or down payments, simply a rolling subscription that allows users to switch between models as their needs evolve. A commuter today, a road tripper next month, and an electric vehicle user when it makes sense. But do customers really want this? The surveys reveal conflicting views. While some people adore the idea of flexibility and avoiding the burdens of car ownership, others detest the idea of never fully owning their vehicle and having to pay for something they will never keep, not to mention the possibility of unstated costs, limitations on mileage, and a lack of genuine personalization. Then, there is the effect on used cars. What happens to the used car market if fewer people own vehicles altogether? The cost of traditional car ownership may increase due to market subscription models, making cars even less affordable for those who would rather purchase. It is clear that the days of going into a dealership and haggling over a price will soon be a thing of the past. But what do you think? Ford's move to direct sales may be the first step toward making auto subscriptions a mainstream reality. Whether that is good or bad depends on how it plays out. Let's discuss this in the comments section.